Okay, what is your name?
Almon Alonzo Ray.
Okay, for most of us, you're known as dad, grandpa, or great grandpa. But how old are you?
I'm 86 years old.
Okay, you've lived a good long life. We would like to know some things about you, Dad, and that's the purpose of this video today, is to record your life as a legacy to your descendants. So I'm just going to ask you some questions and just answer them, and you can feel free to elaborate on them or whatever you want. So start off with where were you born?
I was born in Jerome, Arizona in 1933,
What date?
14th of February.
Were you born in a hospital?
No, I was born at home.
Okay, when you were born, did your parents, who were your parents?
Ernest Leroy Ray, and Margaret Lee Owen.
Okay, did you have siblings already?
Yes, I had Ernest Lee Jr., Zelda Neoma, and Margaret Ernestine.
Okay, and so were there any children born after you?
No, I'm the baby.
Okay. What was your house like as a child?
It was a house started out with when folks bought it in 1919, 2 room, and as the family grew, they added on to it.
So how many rooms were in there?
There were 3 bedrooms and a kitchen, a living room. Then they built a back porch and a bathroom on in 1936.
Did you have to share a bedroom?
No.
Okay. Okay, let's talk about your name for a minute. Were you named after a family member, or how did you get your name? What was the special meaning behind your name?
I was named after Apostle Alonzo A. Hinckley. He was the California mission president when I was born.
Okay, so why did your parents decide to name you after him?
I have no idea. My first name, Almon, is after my great uncle. Then Alonzo was after President Hinckley. He was an apostle at the time.
Your great uncle, Almon, what was his last name?
Holden.
Holden?
Yep.
Almon Holden?
Yeah, he was the first bishop of the Amity Ward in Eager, Arizona.
What brought him to Eager?
He came with the Saints when they settled here in 1879.
Okay. Do you have a nickname that your friends call you or that people call you?
Al.
How did you get that name?
When I went to BYU, I started having people call me Al.
So before that, they called you Almon?
Alonzo.
Okay. Why did you want to be Al?
I don't know. It was shorter.
Okay. Do you have a holiday tradition?
Not really anymore. Don't.
Did you have before?
Not that I know of.
Did you watch movies or do anything with your wife?
Used to watch the Hallmark Channel.
Okay. What is your favorite thing about the holidays?
The music, I think. And the birth of the Savior.
What does that mean to you?
Means that I have the chance to return to Heavenly Father if I live worthy and repent of all my sins and my transgressions.
Okay, how did your family spend time together when you were young?
Well, my mom and dad would never go anywhere without the other one. They never go visit anybody out of town without the other one going. They always went together. And we lived in a house in Jerome, and we had cows and chickens and ducks and all kind of animals to take care of. We had to put the cows out every morning and bring them in at night.
Okay, talk to me a little bit about your house that you were raised in. Was it on flat farmland or?
No, it was right in the bottom of the gulch in Jerome. It was on flat ground, and it was only 1,100 square feet. And like I said, it was 2-room when Mom and Dad first bought it in 1919. And then they added on to it as the family grew. And eventually ended up, it was only 1,100 square feet. It's kind of a small house.
Okay, so when you let the cows out in the morning, if you were at the bottom of a gulch, where did they go?
We drove them up on the hillside, out in the open range, on the mountain, on the hillsides, to more the top of the hills.
How did they know to come home?
We had to go get them at night and bring them home.
So was that a job that you had?
Yep. I'd do it in the morning before I go to school and bring them home at night after school.
Okay, when you say you did it in the morning, did you take them up the top of the hill in the morning?
I drove them up on top of the hill in the morning, and then I come back home, and then we went and got them at night.
Okay, how many cows did you guys have?
One time my dad had as many as 50.
Wow. Were they milk cows or beef
Yeah,
cows?
well, they were beef cows and milk cows, Shad. They were milked every morning and night.
Who did the milking?
Well, Mom did a lot of milking, and I did some, and I milked up until I went to BYU in 1951. I swore I'd never own another milk cow, and I haven't.
Oh, but isn't it the best milk?
Huh?
But isn't fresh milk the best milk?
Raw milk. It depends on what weeds the cows have got into. They get into the weeds, and the taste of the weeds are in the milk.
Ooh, yeah. So let's talk about school. Where did you go to school? Where'd you start school at?
I went to start kindergarten at Clark Street School in Jerome, Arizona.
Okay, what was your favorite subject?
I don't know. I think I like math better than regular math. Not like algebra or anything like that, but just regular math.
Okay. Now that was in kindergarten. Where did you go to elementary school?
At Clark Street School. I went through the 3rd grade at Clark Street School.
And then where did you go?
Then I went to Building C down by the high school. I was the 4th grade there.
Was that in Clarksdale?
No, I was in Jerome.
In Jerome, okay.
In Jerome. And then they closed the Building C, and they moved the 5th and 6th grades up to the top of the high school. I went to visit 6th grade in the top floor of the high school.
In Jerome?
Yes.
Okay. And so then when it was high school time, where did you go?
I went to the high school there in Jerome. I went to junior high first. I went to junior high there in the high school. They had the junior high in the high school, 7th and 8th grade. In 9th grade and 10th grade, I went into high school. Then the summer after I went to high school, I went down to, in 1950, I went down to Phoenix Union High School with the summer so I could graduate in 3 years because they're going to close the high school after 1951. The kids I started school with or graduated in 51, I spent 2 years in the 2nd grade when I was in grade school. So I went through high school in 3 years, so I graduated with the kids that I started school with. I could graduate from Jerome High School before they closed the high school.
So you went down to Phoenix Union High School and spent a summer catching up a whole year so you could graduate with your
Yeah, good enough subject. At that time, you only need 16 credits to graduate from high school. That was in 1951.
So what classes did you take during the summer down there?
I took civics and I took English, and I forget what other classes there were, but they're ones that I needed so I could graduate.
Who did you stay with when you were in Phoenix?
With my sister, her husband Jim, and Zelda Brewer out in Scottsdale.
Okay. So we talked about your chores that you did when you were a kid, but what did you do for fun?
Fun, we used to go to basketball games and football games and stuff like that.
Did you ever play, on the side of the hill or go climbing?
Now we used to go climbing and stuff like that. Just roaming over the hills.
Okay.
Used to go over to my Skull Canyon. And
where's Skull Canyon at?
The Skull Canyon, that's over there east of Jerome.
Okay. All right. Did you have a best friend?
In school, I had two good friends, Jerry Bonick and Frank Bladich. And then in the Gulch, there was Demas Gonzalez. He was about 3 or 4 years older than I. And he and I used to go out and shoot 22 rifle together and go over to Mescal Canyon, and we'd buy a box of 50 rounds of 22 rifle and go shoot all those rounds out of birds and things, anything we could shoot at.
Did you bring the birds home to eat?
Nope.
Too little, huh?
Yep.
I heard that when you were in high school that you and some friends played a prank on the rolling hills of Jerome. Do you remember that?
I don't know what kind of prank you're talking about.
Did it have to do with fire hoses?
Oh, on one Halloween we took fire hoses and drug them out of they had the fire hoses in boxes on in different parts of town. We took some and dragged the fire hoses out on Halloween one time.
Did you get in trouble for it?
Nope.
Probably would nowadays, huh?
Yep. They catch you.
Yeah. Okay, did you have a favorite toy as a child, or did you have any toys?
I had lots of toys. I can't remember what my favorite one. I remember one Christmas I got a little small tractor, a Caterpillar tractor. I liked that very well.
Okay, and
there's a wind up tractor with tread and everything on it, with the blade on the front of it and stuff.
Now you said that you used to go shooting. Did you own a rifle or a gun, or was
it
that
was
your
my
dad's?
dad's 22 pump rifle. It would shoot shorts, long rifle, all three types. It would hold about 15 rounds.
Okay, did you ever go out shooting with your dad?
We went hunting together.
Where did you hunt? And what
up on Wood Chute and on the Allen Spring Highway and up on Mingus.
What were you hunting for?
Deer.
Were you successful?
Yeah.
Is that a habit you continued throughout your life?
I hunted up until the last time I went hunting was 1996. I went elk hunting over in 6A above between Camp Verde and Flagstaff. And I killed an elk then. That's the last time I went hunting was 1996.
Who did you go hunting with?
I went with my nephew Dan Brewer, and when I killed the elk, it was a guy from Camp Verde that I knew when I was working in Cottonwood. He and I went out one afternoon, and when I killed the elk.
So let's talk about some of your hunting trips, because I remember going hunting as a child with you. So when did you start taking your kids hunting, and what was your experience? Why did you take your kids hunting?
When 7, 8 years old, so they could experience the experiences I experienced. We used to go down by Wilcox, down to the Mutual Ranch, down there. I remember one time that just Brett and I and Larry and you and Bruce went down. Just all of us went down. We took the horses, and you and Bruce were riding the horses, and Brett and Larry and I were walking hunting. You and Bruce were riding the horses.
Were we successful, or did we shoot the horse?
No, we killed 2 deer that time. Remember, I killed the one deer that I caught you and Bruce. We brought Cody over, and I blindfolded him and put blood on his nose and put the deer on it behind the saddle on the horse, and took him back over where the scout was, the international scout was, and he, as long as he didn't know the deer was on him, he was fine. But when he was scared of it, when we took him off, he got real scared.
Okay, now we need to clarify that Cody is the name of the horse.
Yes, it's a horse.
Not your grandson.
Not my grandson. It's a horse who Cody is named after.
Cody will be glad to hear that. Okay, how did you feel about these camping trips with your kids?
I enjoyed them. I enjoyed being out with my kids.
Did you ever go with any other people besides your kids?
Oh, we went with one time. We had a lot of people just go there. Bob Epson, Chad Calley, a whole bunch of people used to go down there with me.
I remember going with a man named Junior.
Junior Weathersby.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
What was his role in the camp?
He was just a friend.
Didn't he also cook liver and onions?
No, Chad Kelly used to do that.
Oh, okay. So there was nothing better than fresh liver and onions.
Yep. After you kill a deer, we used to eat the liver and onions the first night.
Mm. Did you eat liver and onions growing up?
Yep. And I still eat the liver and onions. Love it.
Okay, so when you were young, did you get an allowance?
I got $1 a day. I mean, not $1 a day, $1 a month. That was during the Second World War. 50 cents went to buying war stamps, and then 10 cents went to tithing, and that left me 40 cents to spend.
How did you spend it?
I don't remember. Candy and stuff like that, or anything I wanted.
Did they have movie theaters back then?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Did you ever go there?
Yep.
What were some of the movies that you...
One of the last movies I remember seeing was called The Battleground. It was a story of World War II, the Battle of the Bulge. It was a story where the Americans defeated the Germans in Belgium during the end of the World War.
Did you ever get in trouble as a child or a teenager?
Not really.
Okay, did you have a curfew? And if so, what time was it?
No, I didn't go out much at night. We didn't. One time I went out was either go to a movie or to a basketball game or a football game. That was the only thing we went to.
How did you meet Grandma?
Met her at BYU. At a Lambda Delta Sigma party.
Go ahead and tell us about that.
Yeah. We come in late and we were sitting, no place to sit. We were sitting in the middle of the floor.
Okay, who is we?
Me and the other members of the Delta chapter. And I forget what the name of the chapter of the woman was, but this girl in the corner room kept looking at me the whole time that we were sitting in the middle of the floor. Then we went out on a scavenger hunt, and she fell down on the ice, and Louis, guy that was with us, he picked her up. And then afterwards, I got bold and asked her if I could take her home. And she said, well, she's with her girlfriend. They'd have to go together. I said, that's fine. So I took her home, and we started going together.
Okay, so what was your marriage proposal like?
I don't know. I think it was about a week after we started going together, we started talking about marriage.
Well, that's fast.
Yep. Down by the Joseph Smith building there at BYU.
Did you ask her or did she ask you?
I think we both were mutual, I think.
Okay. So, where was your wedding?
We were married in Las Vegas. We eloped to Las Vegas and got married on the night of the 21st of March of 1953.
Okay. So, why did you elope?
Well, because I'd gone to her father at Christmas time of 52 and told him that Edith and I wanted to get married, wanted to get his permission. And he wouldn't talk to me. I asked him before I left to go back to, I was in Burley and I was going back to Provo. And I asked him, he said, well, I'll talk to you. He wouldn't give me an answer. And so then I couldn't get a job because the Korean War was going on. And I was draft age. Nobody wanted to hire me because of that. So I volunteered for the draft and went to LA and took my physical, come back, and then I was to go into the Army on the 24th of March of 1953. And Edith was working as a lawyer's office there in Provo. So I picked her up for Tuesday night, and she said, let's go get married. And I said, Edith, you better not be kidding me. And I said, you better not be kidding me. And she said, no. So I said, well, wait till you get your paycheck. Because I didn't have any money. I was out of a job. And I said, well, you get your paycheck. We'll go to Las Vegas at noon on Saturday. So we went to Las Vegas, got married that night in Las Vegas. And the week currently had their wedding chapel there in Las Vegas. Then we couldn't find a place to stay in Vegas. So we had to go back to St. George to find a motel. We couldn't even find a motel in Vegas. Everything was full.
Wow. When did you tell your parents?
Didn't tell my parents until in June of 53. I wrote her parents, and we found out that she was expecting. So we decided we'd better tell somebody. So I wrote her parents in June and told them. And I got a scorching letter back from Grandma McHouston. And then the next day I got another letter with an apology, but her father never did accept me until 1961 when we were in Bisbee. I was running my own service station there on the traffic circle. And he finally figured I'd amount to something. He didn't think I'd ever amount to a hill of beans. So
your relationship with him was good after that?
After that, he only lived 3 years after that. Mm-hmm. 4 years after that. But we got along after that. But he didn't accept me until then. Because he thought I wouldn't amount to anything.
Wow. Okay, what was your first job?
My first job was working in the skating rink there in the Gulch in Jerome, the old school that converted into a skating rink, and also for the same guy that owned the skating rink. He owned the Red Rock bottling plant in Cottonwood, and I bottled soda pop for 25 cents an hour.
You bottled soda pop?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
So what did you want to do when you grew up?
I didn't know. I didn't have my anything idea. One time I was talking about going into forestry, then I never did do that.
So what did you end up doing?
I ended up going to college at BYU, and then the summer of '52, I went to Alaska. Lee, my brother, was stationed at Fairbanks, and he got blamed for Emily and I, his wife's sister's stepson, to come up to Alaska to work for the summer of '52. But we got up there and there was no work because of the shipping strike on the West Coast, so we couldn't find a job. And we did find one job. We dug ditch for this guy for one day for $2 an hour. That was back in 1952. And then one day I'd gone into town to try to find work. I was coming back out to the Allison Air Force Base, which was 26 miles out of Fairbanks, where my brother was stationed. And this guy picked me up, and he asked me where I was going. I said, I was hitchhiking, and I said, I'm going back out to Allison. He said, well, too bad you're not going back to the States. I'm going back to the States, and I'd like somebody to come along with me. And I said, well, you better not be kidding, because if you wait till I get my stuff packed, I'll go with you. I'm ready to go back. I can't find anywhere up here. So I went to the bank and passed my stuff and went with them, and we drove down the Alicante Highway, and it took us 5 days to go from Fairbanks to Edmonton, Canada. And his car broke down. And on the way, we met some guys from Bigby, Idaho. There was 4 of them, and they were going back to the States because they hadn't been able to find any work up there. So when his car broke down, I got in with them and rode back to Rigby, Idaho with them, and I caught the bus from Rigby to Burley. Stayed with Mom and her parents there in Burley for a few days. Then I called my mom and dad in Jerome. They sent me money for a bus ticket, so I come back from Burley to Jerome and came back to Jerome. Then in Jerome, I had saw this ad in the Arizona Republic for Standard Station Incorporated was hiring people, so I went down to Phoenix and interviewed, and they hired me and put me to work in Flagstaff. So I worked the summer in '52 in Flagstaff for Standard Stations Incorporated, and then they were supposed to transfer me up to Provo, so I'd go back to college. Well, when I got back to Provo, the transfer hadn't gone through, and I didn't have a job, so I didn't go back to college. And then I worked for P.E. Ashton, washing cars there at the Buick and Chevrolet dealership in Provo for about 2 or 3 months. I hated that job. It was the worst job I've ever had. Then they laid me off. And so then at Christmas time, I went to work for Sears in the warehouse until after the Christmas holidays. And then they laid me off because this thing slowed down, and then nobody wanted to hire me because I was the draft age. So that's when I went ahead and volunteered for the draft and went in the Army.
Okay, talking about hitchhiking, did you have any fears? Because hitchhiking nowadays.
No, but then we didn't. Everybody hitchhiked then.
Okay. And they were safer than it is today.
Yeah.
Okay, what was your first car?
The first car was a 1933 Plymouth.
What color was it?
It was black. I painted it red with yellow trim. I painted the car red and the bumpers were yellow.
Wow.
I was gonna put polka dots on it, but I couldn't keep them from running.
Do you have pictures of your car?
No, I don't.
Okay, so where have you traveled besides to Alaska?
I've been to Spain, I've been to Mexico, I've been to Germany, I've been to Austria, I've been to Canada, I've been to Hawaii. And let's see where else have I been. England, Scotland, Ireland. That's about it.
What was your favorite city or favorite place to visit?
Favorite place to visit, I think, was Berchtesgaden in Germany. It was up there it was down below the Eagle's Nest. What they had done was there was an old stormtrooper barracks that was there down in the hill below where Hitler's Eagle's Nest was at Berchtesgaden. They converted into a hotel for GIs. We go to stay there for 75 cents a night.
That's pretty nice. So that was when you were
in Austria.
Yep. Okay, so tell us why you were in Austria.
Well, the Army sent me to Austria. I took my basic training at Camp Roberts, California. And Edith spent that summer there with me at Camp Roberts. I finagled around to where I could. Well, I got pneumonia after my first 4 weeks of basic training. I was in the hospital for 16 days. And then they put me in this company that was in their first day of their second week of training, and I'd been through 4 weeks, so I went to company commander, asked him if there wasn't some detail I could pull until they caught up to where I was. So he told me to go down and report to the sergeant in the supply room. So I went down and worked in the supply room. They left me in the supply room the rest of the basic training. I didn't take any more basic training. I spent all my time in the supply room.
Wow.
The rest of my 16 weeks.
Okay, do you have a favorite family vacation memory, either with your original family or with your children in life?
Mm-hmm. No, I really don't. All of them were good. I just really can't remember one that really being special than the others.
Oh, good. I'm glad you didn't say Disneyland. Okay. Do you have a practice, a religious practice?
A what?
Religious practice.
Yes, I'm LDS. I'm Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
How long have you been a member of that?
All my life.
Okay. How has it affected you in your life?
Well, it lets me know when I'm doing something wrong. I can really feel I've done something wrong.
Okay. So, what do you think is the most important thing that your parents taught you?
Taught me to live the gospel and to follow Jesus Christ.
So, what does that mean, to live the gospel?
To follow the commandments, God's commandments, and live as perfectly as you can. And if you do something wrong, be sure and repent and to be able to ask Heavenly Father for forgiveness.
Okay, so you and Edith got married in 1953.
21st of March of 53.
Okay, so tell us about the day when your oldest child was born. And who is your oldest child?
Sherry was born, and I was in Austria. Born on 27th of December, and I was in Southfield, Austria, going to ski school. And I never saw her. She was 14 months old before I ever saw her.
How long did it take for you to get the message that you had a daughter?
A couple of days.
And what was her name?
Shirley Ray.
That's a little different. How did she get her name?
Well, it's kind of tradition in our family. All my brothers and sisters named their first child after my mother's middle name, which was Lee. Zelda named Daniel Lee. Lee, my brother, named his boy Ernest Lee. Margie named her daughter Dorothy Lee. And so we named her Shirley.
Is that two separate words?
No, it's one word.
Why is it one word instead of two?
So we named her Shirley, Sharlee.
Okay, so she didn't have a middle name then?
No.
Okay. So tell us about the day that Peggie was born, your next daughter.
Peggie was born. I was up in Burley, Idaho, and I was working at the co-op. And I'd gone to work, and Grandma McKisson took Mom down to the hospital, and she was born there in the hospital in Burley, and they were concerned because Edith was doing a lot of bleeding, and they found a hard time getting the bleeding stopped.
Okay, what took you to Idaho?
Well, I was working for Standard Oil in Las Vegas, and before that, I'd taken Edith back up to Burley because we were having a rough time. Things weren't going very good for us, and financially. So I took her up to her folks in Burley. I was still working there in Vegas, and they laid me off in April of 56. So I went to Burley, and first day I got there, I went down to the employment office and put an application in, and the co-op called me that afternoon. I went to work the next day at the co-op, and for $235 a month, I had a wife and 2 children. That's pretty meager things to live on at that time.
Where did you live in?
We lived there in Burley. There, kind of on the east side of Burley, at the old Coltrane fireman house there. Rented it for $40 a month, and worked from there from April of 55 till end of August of 55, and then we were still just barely getting by. So I wrote to my dad down in Bisbee. He worked for the mines, and asked me if they were doing a hiring down there, and he says he went to the pit superintendent, who was a member of the church down there, the ward, and he said if I could come down and if I could pass the physical, they'd put me to work. So Mom and Dad helped us move our stuff to Bisbee, and we moved to Bisbee in 56.
So tell us about the birth of your next child.
Bruce was the next child. We were living in the old Jarvis house in Bisbee, and the morning that he was born, our bedroom was in the front of the house, the kids' bedroom was in the middle, and the bathroom was in the back. So I had Edith was in the bathroom. She's having labor pains, and so I went through the kids' bathroom and stepped on a scorpion and got bit right in the bottom of my foot up by a scorpion. So I had to go to the hospital. They gave me a shot for that. And I come back home, and then Edith was ready to go to the hospital, and I took her to the hospital, and Bruce was born there in the hospital, in the 10th of July of 57.
Okay, so you had a daughter born in 56 and a son born in 57. Who was your next child?
Lorraine, she was born in September of 58.
Tell us about the day she was born.
Well, I had quit. I helped Dodge cut back on the working hours. They're only working 4 days. We worked 8 days and not 4. So I knew the guy that ran the Shamrock Dairy route there, and he was looking for a driver. So I quit the mines and went to work for him delivering milk. And I'd gone to work and I was delivering milk, and he had started having nerve pain, so she called Jim Hardy, and he and his wife took her to the hospital, and they come and told me that she was in the hospital. So I really hurried real fast and delivered the rest of my milk route and went to the hospital. And the doctor come and got me, took me down to the nursery to show me Lorraine, but he didn't tell me at that time. But Bob Edwards was a member of the ward there, and he worked there at the hospital. He told me they didn't think she was going to live because she had fluid on her lungs and stuff like that. But Edith was stubborn. She wouldn't go to a doctor at all before Larry was born. She wouldn't go see a doctor at all. And Dr. Santos was the doctor, and he was real nice, and but she got to be all right. Then when she's about 18 months old, I was running my service station. Then I'd gone in the service station business, and I'd come home from work. Edith had to go out to Sierra Vista for some Lease Society stuff for the stake. And she told me to go. Well, she'd taken Larry to the doctor on Friday. And she told her to, and she told me to go and check Larry, and I went and checked her, and junk was running out of her mouth, and she was Bill Lips's wife. I grabbed a hold of her, and Sherry was 6 years old then. This was in 59. And I told her, you take care of Peggy and Bruce, and I'll call Mom and Dad and have them come over and take care of you. And I rushed her to the hospital. And they put her on oxygen, put her in an oxygen tent, and she was in there for 4 or 5 days. Dr. McKinley, she got all right, and then the next year she started getting sick, and Dr. McKinley really took care of her right away. Didn't want to go through what he did the year before, but since then she's had no problem. She had bronchitis, but they didn't think she's going to live when she was born.
She ended up being a mother of 8, 9. I mean, does she have to 8, 9? Okay, then how about your last child? You said you had 5 children.
Brent was born 27th of November 1962. Edith was a Lease Society president. We'd had a Lease Society dinner at the church the night before, and this was at about 2 o'clock in the morning. I woke up, and Edith was in the bathroom. Was in the living room, and she was having labor pains. And I told her, well, let's go to the hospital. And she says, okay, well, let me go to the bathroom first. She went in the bathroom, and Brent was born on the bathroom floor. I picked him up and put him on a towel, put a towel underneath him, and I called Dr. Jolly, and he lived about 5 miles away. Took him about 10 minutes to get there, and he come in and made sure everything was fine. Cut the cord and everything was fine. And then he left. Says, yeah, this runs in this Ray family. My sister's boy was born in my bedroom in Jerome in 1948. And he was the same doctor in Jerome for Hope's Dodge. They transferred him to Bisbee. So he said, yeah, this runs in the Ray family. Born babies at home. But Edith never to go to the hospital, and Brent was fine. He weighed 9 pounds and 3 ounces 3 days after he was born.
He was a big boy, huh?
Yeah, he was a big one.
So we talked a little bit about how Sherry got her name. So tell us how you ended up naming your other children.
Edith decided on your name, and she decided on Louise also. She named her after her mother. And Brent was named after an elder that was down in Bisbee at the time. And her dad's name was Robert. She wanted to name him Robert, and I had a cousin that was Robert, and I didn't think much of. And so I said, no, I don't want his first name to be Robert. So we named him Bruce Robert.
Okay, so you said Brent earlier, but you're talking about Bruce.
Bruce, yes, Bruce.
Okay.
Bruce, I'm talking about Bruce, yeah.
Okay, and so how did Brent get his name?
Brent was named after a missionary in Bisbee.
Okay.
And then Edith liked the name Russell, so
okay.
Only has 1 L.
Why is that?
L's.
And I believe the reason that she chose my name was because it was her father's favorite Irish name.
I don't know, but she liked the name Peggie.
What's your favorite memory with your children?
Oh, going hunting with them and things like that. Horseback riding.
Okay, so how do you handle stress?
I handle it pretty well. I don't. I don't get stressed out.
If you feel yourself getting stressed, what do you do?
Pardon?
If you feel yourself getting stressed, what do you do?
I just relax. Try to relax.
What could you tell me that I would be surprised to learn about you?
What would you be surprised to learn about me? I don't know. That my family is the most important thing to me, and that I love my family very much and I appreciate them, and I want to let them know that I think a lot of them. And I'm pleased the way that they're living the gospel and living the type of life that they should.
So, what are your dreams for your children and grandchildren and great grandchildren?
To do the best they can, live the gospel to its fullest, so we can be a celestial family.
Okay, let's talk about your grandparents. Did you know your grandparents?
No, I never knew. I knew neither one of them. My grandfather died in 1913.
Which grandfather?
Grandpa Ray.
What was his name?
Simeon Noble. And Grandma Ray was Julianne Holden. She died. I was 1 year old when she died, so I don't remember her. And my mother's mother died in 1906 after Aunt Willie. Aunt Willie was 4 years old when she died. No, let's see. Mom was 4 years old when she died. She died after Aunt Willie was born. And then my grandfather, Owen, I never knew him. He was run over by a car in Texas in 1934. So I didn't know any of my grandparents.
What is the earliest memory you have?
The earliest memory I have? Well, we lived there in Jerome, and we go to Sunday school down in Cottonwood, and I had a dog, and we put him on a chain there out in the yard while he was going to church, so he wouldn't run around the neighborhood. We come home, he jumped over the fence and hung himself.
Was that a pet then?
Pardon?
Was that your pet?
Yeah, he was my dog then.
Was he your first pet?
I think so, yeah.
Have you owned any pets since then?
I've owned a lot of pets. Lots of dogs.
All dogs?
Dogs. Mostly dogs. I don't care much for cats.
Okay, so this is a thinking question. What is different about growing up today than when you were a child?
Well, there was no iPhones and no iPads. You go outside and play, and you play with your friends and stuff. Where nowadays the kids just sit there and look at their stupid iPads and stuff. They don't know how to communicate and associate one with another.
So you think electronics has taken away some of the...
Yep. We used to go out and play, and we used to play basketball and baseball and stuff like that. And games and stuff, the kids don't do that anymore.
What is your favorite thing about being a grandparent?
See my grandkids live the gospel and do what's right and keep the commandments.
Okay. We know that you like to play jokes. You like to tease. Has that been something your whole life?
Yes, all my life. Yep.
Tell us about a time of teasing with any of your grandchildren.
I used to tease Trenton about who's the best guy when he was a kid. little kid. He used to ride me in the truck, and I'd ask him who the best guy was.
What would he say?
Sometimes he'd say his dad, sometimes he'd say me.
You have hanging on your refrigerator these magnets that have 3 black things on it. What is that?
Those were given by, that was given to me by Jordan. It represents Jordan, Jimmy, and Tommy, and 3 kids. 3 black monkeys sitting in a tree.
Okay.
One named Johnny, Tommy, and Jimmy.
Tell us a time that your grandkids played a joke on you.
I don't remember.
Christmas time.
I don't remember.
Dad. Look at me.
But they hid my false teeth.
Okay, your grandkids hid your false teeth.
Yep, they hid my false teeth.
Why?
Just to tease me.
Okay. You had been coming up from the valley with them, and I guess they teased you the whole way up here.
Well, no, we'd gone down. We'd gone down to the temple to do baptisms. Brenton came over, and Augie came down, and Brandon and the boys rode back from the valley with me, and they teased me all the way home.
Okay. I also remember hearing an incident about the truck going down to Circle K and you hearing noises.
The other 2 crawled underneath the tunnel cover under the back of the truck. Cody and Brandon, I think it was, crawled underneath there.
Okay. So it sounds like your boys really teased you. Did any of your granddaughters?
Not that I know of, not really.
Okay, I'm going to ask you some silly questions, just because you like to tease. Would you rather be able to breathe underwater like a fish or fly like a bird?
Fly like a bird.
Why?
Because I'd be free.
If you could have dinner with your favorite movie character, who would it be?
Probably John Wayne.
Where would you dine and what would you eat?
I don't know. Anywhere.
Well, if it's John Wayne, you're probably going to eat steak, right?
Yep.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay. If you had one food and only one food that you could eat every day.
One what?
Food.
Chocolate.
So I'm saying, you've got a freezer full of Hershey nuggets, so
Yep.
it better be chocolate. Okay. If you could switch places for one day with another family member, who would it be?
All my kids. All of them. I can't. I don't have any family member I'd rather switch places with.
Why would you want to switch places? Let's say with your daughter Peggie in Alaska. Why would you want to switch places?
Just to be with her. Just be with my kids.
If you could be an animal, what would it be?
I wouldn't want to be an animal. No way.
What makes you feel really loved?
Just to people to talk to me and then be friendly to me.
Do you communicate with your kids often?
Pardon?
Do you communicate or talk with your kids often?
Yes, I talk to Bruce every day. I talk to Ty every day. I talk to Sherry every day. I never can get a hold of you. You're always, all I do is get your answering service.
Well, we talk. I call back.
Yeah.
It's a 4-hour difference.
I talk to Larry every day.
By the time I get off work, you're asleep, so.
Ray calls me every day, and I talk to Sherry, and I talk to Bruce, and I talk to Brent maybe once or twice a month.
Would you rather play in the sand or play in the snow?
The sand.
Snow is so beautiful.
Snow is cold. I don't like being cold.
What is something that you would like to learn still?
I don't know. I have no idea really.
Describe a typical day in your life.
Typical day of my life. I get up. I get Pedro out of his pen. I eat breakfast while I look at the computer. I read the Fox News. I read the weather. I read the internet. Then I read the Facebook, and then I go down and exercise. I didn't go exercise before I do that. I go 5 days a week down to exercise. Then I come back and do that. And then I go to eat lunch down to the senior center 5 days a week, 4 days a week, 11:30. Then I come home and spend the afternoon resting, and probably around 2:30 I turn the TV on and watch the Neil Cavuto and Fox News and Lou Dobbs and the Five and Tucker Carlson. And that's about 6:30. I start getting ready and go to bed by 7.
Okay, now let's compare that about a typical day when you were the age of 40.
40. I was running my service station then. I'd go to bed about 10, 11 at night and get up at 5 in the morning, go to work, spend all day at the service station, come home anywhere between 5 and 9 at night.
Okay, when you say service station, because the world is evolving and some people may not understand, describe your service station.
Well, at that time, back in the 60s when I started in the service station business, it was all full service. Nobody pumped their own gas. You had to pump the gas for them, and you pump the gas, you check the oil, you check the water, you check the tires, you check the wash the windows and all that kind of stuff. It was full service. But now everything is self-service. Nobody does any of that anymore.
Okay, so when you had your full service station, did people bring their cars to you for repairs or things like that?
Yes, I did repair. In Bisbee, I didn't do much repair, but in Scottsdale and Phoenix, I did.
Okay, did you have other people work for you?
Yes, I had 3 or 4 people working for me.
As mechanics, as attendants?
Mechanics as attendants, yeah.
Okay.
Bruce worked as attendant for me all after he was 16 years old. He worked for me until I closed the service station in 77, so I sold out.
Okay. So after you sold out of the service station business, what did you do and where did you go?
I went original service station business was because they were starting to do self-service. And Standard Oil only had 5 years left on the lease on the property there on 16th Street in Thomas in Phoenix. And they weren't going to renew the lease. And I didn't want to be 50 years old and start looking for a job. So I had a chance to go to work for Allreds up in Cottonwood. So I went to work for Allreds, the Chevrolet Buick, Pontiac, and GMC dealer there in Cottonwood.
So what did you do?
Mechanic, started out as a mechanic.
Okay.
And then I was service writer. Then in March of '79, they sent me up here to Eager as service manager.
How long did you work for them?
I worked for them for 19 years. I worked here from March of '79, and they sold out in September of '87. And I stayed with a new company from September through May of '88. And Harold Allred told me when they sold out, if I ever needed a job, I had a job in Cottonwood with them. So I could see by May that these new people were going bankrupt. So I called Harold, and he told me to come on down there and put me to work. So I drove back and forth from May of '88 until the 1st of July of '95. I worked as a service manager for him down there in Cottonwood.
Why didn't you move down there?
Because Mother was teaching school here in Round Valley, and we just didn't want to move down there.
So every weekend you would drive up here?
Here, or she'd come down there.
Okay. So did you have a house down there?
No, I had a 31-foot RV that we lived in, country air. Harold Allred let me park it in the backyard of one of his rental houses, and all he charged me was the water and electricity. That's all he charged me for.
That sounds pretty good. So